Solid day against Rutgers. I thought that other than a 4 or 5 minute little lapse, maybe an intensity start the second half, we did some really solid things. I thought that we did a really good job of taking Mag and Hyatt in particular, Williams kind of out of that game. Cliff was really their only really effective guy on the offensive end. I thought with Terrence coming back, I thought he was solid. Kind of about what about what we expected. For a guy who's missed 6 games in 3 weeks, and it's very, very challenging to get your competitive flow back, and it took him a minute to do that. But Justin Harmon, I thought, was just outstanding on both ends. I think we forget sometimes how good an athlete Justin is, and we saw that on display. Rebounding the basketball, 8 rebounds, and then some of his drives to the basket were extremely athletic. So very pleased with him. At night we didn't shoot the ball particularly well, and scored 86, and basically 6 guys in double figures. So I like that. Now it's onto the road, and life in the Big Ten on the road always has its challenges. You get great crowds and passionate fan bases, and you get a team for the second time, one that we played very well against in the first game. We made shots, and this is a team that has beaten Maryland, has beaten Purdue at home. They're shooting the ball much better at home than they have on the road. They just lost a tough one at Nebraska. But Langborg, Martinelli, Tyberry, Barnheiser, those guys shoot the ball at a really high clip at home. Obviously, I think Boo is one of the outstanding guards in the league, and the head of the snake there. So expecting a very, very tough game. A team that is coming off a loss and has been very good at home.
So Brad, the other night you talked about being really hard on Justin because of his role. What constitutes for you a good 6 man? What do they need to do your level?
No drop off and elevation. Elevating the play, and it doesn't have to be in points. It can be a defensive lift. It can be an energy lift. It can be a lot of things. And I put tremendous value in that as a coach. And a lot of times we all get wrapped up in who starts and this and that. And I want those 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th guys, however many it is, to be able to elevate and do something that helps elevate after 4 minutes, and the other team's a little bit tired, and you come in and have the ability to score baskets, get stops, whatever the game needs. And so I put a lot of value in that, and always try to mold that position a little bit. And Justin's been the consummate student in that side of things in terms of trying to learn it.
I mean, have you always kind of looked at it that way? Or was there someone in your career that had come off the bench that did all those things for you?
No, I've always thought it was a team game, and I've never, it's kind of the old cliche. It's not who starts, it's who finishes, and you have to have value. You have to have guys that compete, and not everybody's going to be a first option, but there's tremendous value, or more value maybe, in a guy who comes off the bench and understands his role. I had it at Stephen F. Austin. Truthfully, probably my second best player was a guy who came off the bench, and so I've always valued it. I think it's a team game. You got to have guys there, and you don't want to. In a perfect world, you don't want to have a discrepancy from your first 5 and your second 5, and that's what we try to strive for.
with how the last game against Northwestern went, do you come in expecting maybe changes from them schematically, a more different effort or execution on their part?
I don't know. I think they threw a lot at us on the defensive side in terms of their double teams. They doubled big. They doubled from the baseline. Those are two things that they have always done. They're a team that forces a tremendous amount of turnovers. I think they lead the league in turnovers forced. They've always kind of done, since Chris Lowry's been there on staff, they've always kind of done what they do, and they've been really good at it. And I think second place finish last year, and led the league defensively, and they're right there in contention again. So. Everybody's done something a little bit different with Ty. We've kind of come to expect something, but we'll adjust as we see what they do.
Who got his points in the last game, as you will, just about every game. Is slowing down the supporting cast a big part of this, especially a guy like Barnheiser?
You can't. Well, Barnheiser's coming off a career high. I think he had 24 in Nebraska, and he's a really good player. And he's doing it. A couple threes a game. He's doing it on the offensive glass. He gets a couple post ups. He's doing it in a variety of ways, and you just have to make those guys' touches hard. You can't give those other guys. And I say this with Boo and have so much respect for him. Is he's very unselfish. He's going to be he's a 5, 6, 7 assist a game guy, and it's what he does to elevate his teammates. So we've got to be good on all of them. This is a really good offensive team, especially at home, and you can't give them a ton of open threes, and if you do, they're going to make them.
Talk about the integration process with Terrence through one game and some practices. How have you felt the way that he's meshed? It did seem like the ball moved pretty well with him in the game.
It was good. It was good. I think we missed a couple of of opportunities with him. Where we've been, we call them corner steps, where we've stepped up and screened and he didn't. Those are film things that we can clean up, and on the court things. And he drove a ball that was right back into the defense instead of making an extra pass once. And and then in the second half, he made the extra pass, and Coleman got a wide open three. So it's just little timing things like that come from practice and film, and he'll be better.
Do you coach him through road environments, and I would assume maybe even more broadly to your team as well over the next 2 out of 3 games?
Life on the road in the Big Ten. It's going to be animated as always. It's always a raucous crowd when we go to Evanston and when we go on the road. And it's the beauty of this league is there's sellout crowds everywhere, and there's great passionate fan bases. Students are back in, and our job is to go play basketball and worry about the guys in the uniform, and try to do the best we can to eliminate all the outside.
When you looked at maybe the defense in that stretch without Terrence compared to what had been with him, I mean, was it just his presence, or did you identify other things that where those metrics dipped a little bit?
Well, he's 6'6", 220 pounds. He's a really gifted athlete. He's extremely strong, and then he competes at a very high level. And when you look at guys that guard the basketball, which Terrence does a lot. He's in that situation a lot for us. He's really good at it, and he's physical. He's long. He does a great job with his length of what we call a rear view contest over the top of ball screens. You don't replace that. That's genetics, and then a great desire to become an elite defender. He's got unbridled passion for that. So you don't replace it. We did some other things a little bit better sometimes because we had to scheme a little different. But it's an unmatched talent to do what he does on that side.
Recruiting is going pretty well. Do you have maybe a guiding philosophy or strategy of how you want roster to be constructed in terms of, balancing high school kids and transfer portal kids?
Yeah, I think that we have to be careful with high school guys. I think it's the right fit. It's the right character. It's obviously talent. You're not going to have guys come in that you don't think fit your style or have the ability to play at this level. And then you've got to juggle the portal, and to continue to recruit high school players. We're going to continue to do that. It suits us. I think they're the base, the essence of what your foundation is, what your culture is. They help teach the transfers what to do, whether they're 1 or 2 year guys, because they understand, they've been here. And I think Coleman Hawkins is one of the great examples of a 4 year guy, Luke Goody, a 3 year guy that just understand and have helped our transfers this year. So we're gonna continue to recruit freshmen who we think are really, really good players, and and fit the Big Ten and fit the way we're trying to play as we move forward.
How's Amani progressing? What do you imagine his status to be tomorrow?
He'll be in uniform. Amani was a partial go yesterday in practice. Did a good amount, so he will be in practice today. So we'll see him back in a uniform today and not sweats, which is a really good thing.
What does that allow you guys to do? Just having him back in terms of depth, but in the front court there?
Well, again, he gives us that pick and pop 5 who can really shoot it. And he's a really good rebounder. Again, there's some integration process with him as he's been out a good bit here. He was just really starting to blossom and play well, due to prior to the back injury. So, he's a young guy that doesn't have a ton of experience to lean on, but he's got you got to have him back and get him integrated and start hitting bodies again, and that's the important thing at this point.
Since Sunday, the defense was maybe where Terrence, you saw maybe some struggles. Was that just first game in 3.5 weeks? Or?
Yeah, it's more of a mindset, and competing is when you take some time off from competing, you don't just strike that match. It takes a minute to get going and get that culture mentally going again. And I thought that the conditioning piece and all of that were factors, but there's nothing like just getting out there and competing again. And I think that practices help with that, and obviously the game, but that'll help him as much as anything on the defensive side.
Just one more on that. I mean, when he's on the court, do you see something different from the rest of the guys, based like either what they do or what they can do, or just their approach?
Yeah, I think anytime you get an elite athlete, he can be a little bit of a security blanket, but he's also a great leader, and he sets an example. When he's guarding basketball, you see how hard he's playing. That becomes really contagious. You're going to pick that up as well, and you're going to do that so you don't let your teammates down. But his ability to guard, his ability to defend and block shots and challenge and all those things are vital parts of everything we do. So we've got to, we know we've got that back in the lineup. Now he's got to rebound better, and he had 1 rebound in 27 minutes, and those again are the competitive things that he'll get back to.
When it comes to preparing for these rematch games, do you pay a lot of attention to the first time you played them, or do you just kind of look at the last couple of games? How do you kind of balance those?
Oh no, both. There's a fine mix of, you pay attention to it because you want to see if they're doing anything different. You want to see, Rutgers had completely changed lineups and had a different, had different matchups and actually a different scheme or two on the defensive side. So, then now with Northwestern, you start looking and seeing, Barnheiser's become a very viable second option for them and coming off a career high. So you look for tendencies. you know, from the first time, you look how they're doing. You see somebody play a similar package that you may have, and you want to pick those things up. So it's all part of the scouting process, and it's what our staff does a great job of dissecting.
The stats show that your team is defending hard without fouling. Was that a priority heading into the season?
Absolutely. I think since year 2, when we were 331st in the country in fouls committed, and we changed, and again, part of that was the recruitment of Kofi at the time, but the changes. How do you win on the road? How do you win games? And one of those areas, I think we were -8 that season in free throw discrepancy. So we were 8 down starting every game. And in a league where there's a lot of close games, you're not going to win those. And so we emphasize it. We bring officials in a lot earlier. We spend a ton of time talking about defending without fouling, challenging shots without fouling, and it's you know, it's a nice advantage when you do get to the foul line yourself at the other end to have be able to have a discrepancy there. But we work really hard at not fouling.
Will Terrence be back in the starting lineup tomorrow?
We'll see.
This last stretch of games, well, it was about 9 games or so, you've had most often at least 4 guys in double figures. What is that balance in scoring the product of?
What a defense schemes against us, truthfully. We've seen a lot of scheming. We've seen you know, bigs guard tie. We've seen different double team coverages. We've seen teams load up on Marcus, try to get the ball out of his hands. We've seen teams not help off Luke. You know, we've seen small guys on Coleman. So it's just based on what the defense has really been giving us. And you know, we've had relatively high assist totals through that, but again, it's good shots and getting to the foul line, getting some easy opportunities in transition, which was huge on Sunday. But again, it's I think just more about what the defense is giving us, and not trying to be stuck in a rut where we have to do the same thing every time, no matter what. We've got versatility.